Right, hello and a very warm welcome to ET Education Presents Leadership Discussion in association with Coursera. I'm your host Devina Lason, and on this series we deep dive into advancing higher education in India with national stalwarts from the education sector. So as we are seeing in real time, higher education is truly being rewritten. What once followed a very predictable playbook is now becoming reshaped by rapid digital adoption, tighter industry linkages, and of course, an urgent focus on skills that can keep pace with this changing world. So, from hands on, experience led learning to stackable credentials, micro credentials, and of course, the growing influence of Gen AI and all the facets of AI, the way knowledge is created and delivered is undergoing a very fundamental shift. So, without further ado, to unpack what this transformation really means for institutions as well as the learners, we are joined today by two extremely distinguished leaders who are actively shaping this future. So, I'd like to warmly welcome Dr. Dishan Kamdar, Vice Chancellor of Flame University, and Prashasti Rastogi, Senior Director at Coursera, who through this conversation today will explore how universities can stay relevant, responsive, responsible, and of course innovative in an era where adaptability is no longer optional. So on that note, a very warm welcome to our speakers. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, Dr. Prashasti, we are already here in 2026. And of course, learner expectations have clearly evolved. We're at a summit where the kind of expectations that exist is very unique. So just to get the ball rolling, to understand each of your perspectives, what would you say that institutions must do differently now to deliver this learning that is truly agile, future ready, and meeting the evolving expectations? Dr. Dishan, would you like to kickstart?
Sure. I think the starting point would be to embrace a culture that learns, unlearns, and relearns, right? So I think that's the premise of this discussion, in my opinion. But universities today needs to be extremely agile, right? Gone are those days when a faculty's role is to create knowledge and disseminate knowledge. But in advent of AI, technological changes, globalizations, there are enormous opportunities that have come up, right? So I think agility is that important cultural attribute that universities have to embrace. Curriculum needs to change, right? Pedagogies need to evolve. Learning modules need to change. The way we interact with industry needs to change, right? And henceforth, universities need to create a culture that is extremely agile, right? Universities need to be able to respond very quickly, to the changing needs of the industry, new skills, new knowledge, new societal requirements, right? So, henceforth, I think if universities embrace agility and are able to respond, right? There's a big difference between listening and hearing, right? So we keep hearing about changes, but are we reacting to it proactively? So universities that react proactively, right, would be at the forefront in the cutting edge. Students, learning preferences also change today, the Gen Z, right? Probably we'll talk about that later on. But that's my quick reaction.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doctor. And yes, truly, agility is very much at the core of what we are talking about today. Prashasti, let's get you in here as well. From your vantage point at Coursera, what does it take for an institution to do exactly this, to be agile, to be completely future ready, to meet the evolving demands?
Yeah, sure. Dr. Dishan said agility, right? That's my favorite word, especially in the world of higher education, because that's not the word that higher education institutions are popularly known for, right?
Yeah.
But it's imperative to pivot from grades to skills. There was a 24-25 economic survey that said that over 53% of Indian graduates are underemployed in roles below their educational qualifications. And that's because the learning that they get does not match the skill sets that the industry is demanding, which is why they face themselves in a situation where they are not ready for the jobs that are being created and their knowledge is not being put to the correct use. This ecosystem needs to evolve in a very different way. I've heard higher education leaders often say that industry is not participative enough, but at the same time, we live in a world which is being disrupted by AI. And even the industry leaders are unaware of what will happen tomorrow. So they are busy fighting different battles. So there's a way to collaborate, and the way to collaborate is look at the ecosystem around you, absorb whatever is possible. And National Credit Framework in India allows a lot of flexibility to higher education institutions to partner with platforms, include industry micro credentials in their career, in their curriculums, and also evolve the curriculum probably every year instead of having a curriculum that works for next 4 years. So this partnership and embracing technological advancements into the curriculum more in a more agile fashion, maybe every semester instead of waiting on for 4 years, will make the relevancy quotient go up and help students develop capabilities that are tangible, that are measurable, and that are recognized by the university. So I think we live in 2026.
So, just makes me also question a little bit when we're talking about how AI is evolving all of this and creating the personalized journeys. Prashasti, in your experience, are there any interesting use cases of AI in higher education landscape beyond the more obvious ones, in your experience? How is AI directly impacting that classroom of the future that we are looking at?
Imagine a world where a student at any given point of time and ask a tutor that why am I learning this course, right? And what are the jobs currently in the market that will, that this course will impact? Imagine a world where a teacher is preparing the curriculum for the next semester and says, okay, this doesn't sit right. The citations that I have from various journals or, the library materials that I have had, this doesn't sit right with what I'm hearing from the industry. Do I have a tool where I can put the learning objectives that I want and it will curate a course for me, and I can build also assessments on it and ship it to my students and keep doing this probably every 3 months, right? Imagine a world where I don't have to rely on English as the language of instruction delivery. I can switch a button and have the course being taught by a professor from Yale or Michigan or IIM Ahmedabad speak to my language, whether I'm a Telugu speaker or a Hindi speaker or a Malayalam speaker or a French speaker, right? It could be anything. So these are the capabilities that AI is bringing into the era of education. And we've seen this live happen on the Coursera platform. About 435 million messages around the world have been exchanged with the AI coach that sits on the Coursera platform around the world. In India, more than 500 unique courses have been built by faculty using the Coursera course builder to tailor the learning according to the needs of their students.
Oh, fascinating. Thank you for sharing these examples, Dr. Dishan. Love to get you back in on this. And, going a bit deeper into your point as well about how universities, of course, the landscape is being redesigned. We are looking at an era where both the technical skills, AI, all of that is playing center stage. But going back to your point also about the human-centric skills. So what does it take really to create that environment where both sides of the coin are equally focused on and developing together?
So, picking up from, what Prashasti mentioned, we are talking about AI. Everybody's talking about AI. Everyone is talking about tech today, correct? But, it is my view, right, that, the role of faculty will not change. Faculty will always be required, okay, in my opinion. But yes, their functions will change, correct? Like I mentioned, I mean, AI's job is to analyze the data that you throw into the system and provide you some feedback, correct? But AI will not be able to inspire. AI will not be able to shape values. AI will not be able to, help students connect the dots. That's just my opinion. And henceforth, faculty have to realize that their role now, they have to work very closely with tech and AI, right? It's not going to be, me as faculty driving my courses, right? Students know more than us today. openly, right? I'm talking about UG1 students. You can take the best faculty, the senior most faculty, and put this person with a wealth of his or her knowledge in class, right? Students will come prepared over and above if the student is diligent enough, right? Will have understood what is, what is a Yale University teaching, for example, correct? Similar courses. Students take similar courses. It's available all over the place, right? They come with questions. They are asking AI, help me with some interesting questions, right? So faculty, if you do not, collaborate with tech, if you do not change, like, in at the start of this session, I had mentioned one word, right? Which is, learn, unlearn, and relearn, correct? And if that's the culture that we embrace and we do not shy away from collaborating with tech.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful. Yeah, Prashasti, we've heard a great example how Flame University is really integrating micro-credentials into the learning curriculum. Any more examples you could share with us? And just overall, again, from Coursera perspective, how are you seeing partner universities making the most of micro-credentials? And ultimately, that outcome, of course, being reflected in the learners. So what are you observing here?
Yeah. In India, micro-credentials have a huge impact. And let's think from the perspective of an employer. In the world of AI, where there's a lot that can be done synthetically, there is a very, very huge requirement of having verifiable credentials. And micro credentials exactly do that. They are verifiable credentials. They are demonstrating whether a student has actually earned the skill and applied that skill to be able to be eligible for this role. And 99% of the employers are adopting a skills first approach and to tackle their talent shortages or underemployment situations. And therefore, for them, these verifiable micro credentials are important. The government also recognizes that Coursera's micro credentials are also aligned to the National Skill Qualification Framework approved by NCVET to be included as a credit bearing program into the curriculum. And we've seen multiple universities do that. The university brands like Chandigarh University has over 1 lakh micro credentials integrated into their curriculum. OP Jindal University has done similar. It is not only a tool for industry-based learning, but it's also a tool for interdisciplinary learning that the universities are seeing today. For example, as a commerce student, I would love to build a course in, graphic design or in consulting. What stops me? Nothing should stop me because if I'm able to take those skills, learn them, apply them, and demonstrate my capability in those skills, any employer should be able to find me a suitable candidate. And that's where the world is also moving. It's skills over scores, skills over degrees. That's how the employers are thinking about it. Similarly, a mechanical engineer can get into automation very early in their life by taking the certain stack of credentials that allows them to be able to work in robotic manufacturing or smart manufacturing. I mean, if you go to any of the mobile manufacturing units in Delhi NCR, you'll see the entire assembly line is robot driven. Now, how do you prepare your mechanical engineers to be able to tackle that sort of a value chain or assembly line is what is imperative today, right? Because industry is asking for people who can roll up the sleeves and demonstrate the learning. So that's where we've seen a huge adoption coming in. And overall in India, there are about 130 campuses who've adopted micro credentials very successfully and are also seeing the impact thereof.
Yes, thank you for that. And what's really coming to mind here is that across the board, whether we're looking at the human skills, change in curriculum, AI, ultimately, this is, of course, this phase of transformation, right? And transformation is also in the mindset. So to each of you, as we slowly come to a wrap of this conversation, if you could give some advice today for all our viewers out there, if institutions have to adopt a mindset shift, let's say one very fundamental mindset shift to completely future-proof their learners and teachers alike over the next decade, what should it be and why? Dr. Dishan?
Well, pinning to just one, it becomes pretty challenging. If it is one, I would repeat myself, right? It is to just, with a lot of humility, right? Start with, I don't know, right? And let me learn. Let me just learn. I'm learning from my UG once, jokes aside. On a weekly basis, I've got my UG students to tell me what's happening in AI, right? How do I learned, this is Gemini, for example, for my UG2 student. I have a UG4 student who is teaching me how to use AI to compare my curriculum, which is pegged to the top universities globally and in Asia, and look at the gap and how we can be relevant to India. And AI does it. I was like shocked, right? Now I can do it myself, right? So I think as educators, right, while we have been sculpting agents, now we need to sculpt ourselves to be learners, right? So as long as we embrace humility and say, look, I don't know, I want to learn, I think that will solve a lot of this problem. That's number one. I talked about agility, right? I think agility and being a global player, it's so important because students will have to learn how to lead in a borderless economy, in my opinion, going forward. And the stress, I want to repeat myself on outcome-based education and character building, right? Cannot be compromised, right? So this is basically, in summary, right, what I would urge every university to pursue.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Dr. Prashasti. That one fundamental mindset shift that you'd like to leave our viewers with today.
I think adaptability. And full implementation of NEP can actually drive that adaptability to very, very optimal levels, because NEP provides so much of empowerment to the university to become adaptive to the change. And all the other things that Dr. Dishan said. Why keep the wish list so small?
Yeah.
Yes, true. No, thank you both so much. It's been such a enriching experience, actually, learning from each of you what it takes, both from the human aspect and all the emerging technology, keeping up with it, giving students a wonderful opportunity as very skill-ready employees new to the workforce. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's truly been inspiring to talk to you today.
Pleasure.
Thank you. It was a great conversation, Dr. Dishan. Thank you. Thank you, Devina.
Likewise. I enjoyed interacting with both of you.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much. Well, with that, that's a wrap on this episode of ET Education Presents Leadership Discussion in partnership with Coursera. But do stay tuned to ET Education for many more insightful, in-depth conversations just like this one with all of the leaders who are shaping growth and innovation across India's higher education landscape. From the entire team, many thanks for watching.